Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're focusing on an update that really impacts a massive network. Millions of users globally involved here.
That's right. We're talking about the Pi network.
Exactly. The Pinode desktop application, specifically version 0.5.4. And this isn't just, a minor patch. It includes a pretty major new feature, App Studio. Seems like it could really shift the whole project's direction.
Absolutely pivotal. For an ecosystem aiming for such wide access, every update matters, but this one, it feels different. So our mission today is really to cut through the jargon, give you a clear understanding of why this desktop integration is, well, a critical milestone.
Right.
It feels like a shift from just building the tracks to actually getting the trains running, creating real utility.
Okay, let's start with the basics then. Got to talk stability first,
Yeah.
right? For anyone running a node, what's its core job again?
Fundamentally, these user-run nodes are the heart of decentralization. They verify transactions, generate blocks, keep the network reliable and stable. Essential stuff.
And the previous version, 0.5.3. There were some whispers, some reports about stability, right?
There were, issues reported. So 0.5.4 was pushed out specifically to address those core infrastructure challenges.
So what exactly got fixed? What were the key improvements at that foundational level?
Well, the main thing was tackling those reported problems with block synchronization. They specifically mentioned fixing non-process issues that were causing nodes to fall behind or get stuck.
Oh, okay. That sounds critical if blocks aren't syncing.
The network integrity suffers, yeah. And beyond that, some needed performance tuning, better block loading speed, more efficient processing, basically making the whole node operation smoother, more stable for everyone running one, shoring up the foundation.
Okay, foundation stable. Check. Necessary, but maybe not the most exciting part.
Right.
Because the real headline here, where things get really interesting analytically, is this integration of App Studio. It's now right there in the desktop app as its own tab. What is App Studio exactly?
So App Studio is essentially Pi's platform for building and publishing decentralized applications, dApps, right within their ecosystem. Its role is strategic, to evolve Pi network beyond, what some call a simple mining project, into something much more dynamic, an actual application ecosystem.
Now, the crucial context, as you hinted, is that App Studio isn't brand new. It existed before, but only in the mobile Pi browser. So why is moving dApp development from that mobile environment to the full desktop node application? Why is that such a game changer?
It boils down to efficiency and, frankly, the complexity ceiling. Think about building a really sophisticated dApp. You need complex logic, good security, a polished UI UX.
Right, not something you easily knock out on a small phone screen.
Exactly. Trying to develop, test, debug something complex on a phone, it's incredibly inefficient, almost prohibitive for serious applications.
Like trying to write a novel on a pager.
Yeah, something like that. The desktop environment instantly gives developers what they need: a big screen, a real keyboard, more computing power. This move effectively transforms App Studio into a proper integrated development environment, an IDE, right there on the desktop.
Okay, an IDE, that raises the bar significantly.
It does. Developers can now aim for, production-ready dApps with much richer interfaces and more advanced features, not just simple mobile prototypes.
So connecting this to the bigger picture, this desktop IDE is really about fostering actual innovation, new business models built on Pi.
Precisely. It unlocks that potential. And what's kind of unique here, which the source material points out, is Pi's focus on making this accessible.
Accessible? How so?
Yeah.
That's not usually the first word you associate with Web3 development environments like, say, Ethereum or Solana.
Right. Those often have high barriers to entry. You need specialized coding skills.
You're talking about the low-code, no-code potential mentioned.
Exactly that. The documents suggest App Studio is being designed to sort of democratize dApp development. They mention the possibility of AI assistant features.
AI assistants. Interesting. So even users, pioneers, who aren't professional coders, might be able to try their hand at building something.
That seems to be the goal. Imagine leveraging that massive user base, millions of people, not just as miners or users, but as potential creators. Citizen developers, maybe?
Wow, that could dramatically widen the development funnel. Instead of just a few thousand pros, you could have potentially many, many more people contributing apps.
It's a unique angle. But we should definitely note this App Studio for PC is still in beta.
Good point. It'll evolve based on feedback from these early desktop developers.
And this brings us to the question for, well, the vast majority of users who aren't developers. What's in it for them? Why should the average user care?
Yeah, give us the takeaway. Why does it matter to someone just using the Pi app or running a node that developers got a fancier workspace?
Okay, I think the benefits fall into roughly three key areas for the average user. First, new experiences. With developers having better tools, we can expect more innovative, more complex dApps. Think better shopping apps, more immersive games, maybe new kinds of social platforms.
Okay, more cool stuff to use. Makes sense. What's second?
Second, you contribute just by using them. By engaging with these dApps, you're actually helping the network grow, proving its utility, making the ecosystem stronger. Indirect contribution.
Right, participation fuels the fire. And the third category, always important in these crypto ecosystems.
Utility and value. The more real-world uses Picoin gets through these richer dApps, the more potential there is for its value and liquidity to increase.
Ah, the utility drives demand argument.
Exactly. More useful apps mean more reasons for people inside and outside the network to want and use Picoin.
Mm.
This desktop IDE is kind of paving the runway for that real-world utility they've always aimed for.
So if utility is the goal, this desktop IDE is like adding a turbocharger. Okay. That brings us nicely to something really practical. A critical maintenance step everyone running a node needs to know about after this update. It's vital for rewards, for stability, often overlooked.
Yeah, this is the crucial checkpoint that's easy to miss in the excitement, whether your node updated automatically or you did the manual download. And quick reminder here, only download from the official node.mindpi.com, security first.
Always.
But yeah, after the update, the absolute must-do step is checking your node ports.
Ports. Why does an app update suddenly mess with network ports? Doesn't the node manage that automatically?
You'd think so, but Pi nodes need to talk constantly to thousands of other nodes. They do this through specific network doors or windows, the ports to sync data, verify transactions. The problem is things like the software update itself, or maybe an operating system security update, or even your home router deciding to update its firmware. These can sometimes silently reset configurations.
And close the ports the node needs.
Precisely. So your node might look like it's running, but if the ports are closed, it's cut off. It's like it's running in a soundproof room.
Can't hear anything, can't say anything.
Right. It can't synchronize blocks properly, and crucially, it stops contributing effectively, which directly impacts your ability to get node rewards. It becomes non-functional, basically.
Okay, that's a big deal. So for everyone listening who runs a node, what's the quick checklist? What do they absolutely need to do right now to make sure they're okay? Not the full tutorial, just the critical steps.
It's straightforward, but essential. Use the built-in tool in the desktop app. First, go to the Node tab, briefly click Turn Off Node.
Turn it off first. Okay.
Then, run the port check function right there. You need to see all the required ports listed as open.
And if they're not, if they show as closed.
And then you've got homework to do. You need to check your computer's firewall settings and more likely your router settings, specifically port forwarding rules. You have to manually open them again.
Got it. Check firewall, check router, fix port forwarding if needed. Then what?
Once you confirm they're all showing open in the check tool, click Turn on Node again. Watch the status change from stopped back to running, and make sure you see blocks starting to synchronize successfully.
Okay, so turn off, check ports, fix if needed, turn on, verify sync. Mandatory step.
Absolutely mandatory, especially if you want the benefit of those stability fixes we talked about earlier.
All right, so let's pull this all together. We've got technical fixes for stability and this major strategic shift with App Studio moving to the desktop. What's the synthesis? What does 0.5.4 really signify?
It signifies a major push, I think, not just towards stability, but using that stability as a launch pad for potentially exponential growth in utility. Moving from a somewhat restricted mobile development space to a full-power desktop platform is huge.
So it's like they've solidified the foundation and now they're building a much bigger house on top of it.
That's a good way to put it. The sources really emphasize that running a Pi node is evolving. It's less about just, passively mining and more about actively supporting the infrastructure of a growing Web3 ecosystem. Putting powerful, accessible tools like a desktop IDE with potential low-code features into developers' hands, that sets the stage for a real acceleration in dApp creation.
It definitely sounds like the potential for applications just got a lot broader, more complex, richer, and hopefully ultimately more useful things than maybe we've seen so far.
Absolutely. The infrastructure now seems ready to support that next level of application.
Okay, final thought then, something for our listeners to chew on.
Right, so think about this. If Pi Network actually succeeds in leveraging these tools, the Desktop IDE, maybe AI assistance, the low-code possibilities to mobilize even a fraction of its huge user base into becoming creators, citizen developers. How fast could dApp development grow compared to traditional ecosystems where only coding experts can build? And maybe more intriguingly, what kind of unexpected, maybe even simple, killer app built by one of these new developers could be the thing that genuinely drives global adoption and really locks in the utility of PiCoin?
That is definitely the future scenario to watch. Will the accessible tools unleash a wave of innovation? Fascinating stuff. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.